period of time, this has only been multiplying. Even later on, say even few years earlier, whatever societies have come up or massive infrastructure has come up on the golf road, golf course extension road, and beyond. Gurgaon is really expanding like anything. I see the same problem even in the sectors which have come up now in last couple of years. So probably it is poor planning and poor vision of how an urban city should look like. So overall, I think it's failure of all agencies involved in planning and execution of this entire water drainage system. So this is really appalling, the situation. You see a small bit of rain and everything comes to a standstill. And the poor people who are on bikes, who are on cycles, these young boys who are with Swiggy, Zomato, Blinkit, my heart goes out to them, So it's very sad situation. If your car breaks down, then you leave the car and just abandon it and move away. And so it's, I think, poor planning and execution both by authorities concerned.
General Yashmore, you spoke of poor planning, poor execution. There are several experts who've also spoken of how Gurgaon's topography wasn't considered while the initial planning of the township was taking place or shaping up. But you've been a resident of Gurugram. Since when have you been staying there? What have you witnessed? Things that have gone wrong massively. Part of your morning cycling routine is about exposing the poor waste management in the city. Where do you think authorities are failing in implementing a proper waste disposal system despite repeated assurances? There's a lot of anger on social media, several sanitation drives being carried out, yet very little change.
I think the lack of will and interagency coordination. And what I see, I really feel pity for these, videos and pictures posted by, official handles of people cleaning. उनको देख के वो बेचारे दिहाड़ी पे उठाए हुए लोग हैं. वो एक गंदी सी ट्रैक्टर ट्रॉली आती है, एक जेसीबी आती है, they clean up something, they sweep that area, and even they don't have ना the equipment है उनके पास, उनके बेचारों के जूते नहीं है उनके पास, gloves नहीं है उनके पास, मास्क नहीं है उनके, किस टाइप की क्या हम दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. So we use this daily wages to come and clean up. They can clean up certain part, but again same thing happens next day because there is no door-to-door collection. वो कर ही नहीं पाए हमने grounds up, bottoms up approach है नहीं हमारा. हम सब लिपा पोती कर दो यार, ये CMO तक पहुंच गई है, इसको जरा clean that area. And you go back. I'm telling you, I went to this area today again. I didn't shoot a video. I felt so sad. I just ignored it. I said यार ठीक है, हम Indians हैं और ये होना नहीं है. किस लिए मैं बिना काम में I just continued. But almost every day I cycle about 20-30 kilometers. Saturday Sunday को ज़्यादा करता हूँ. गाड़ियाँ कम होती है तो I see it more. And this just comes out as an eyesore. What are we doing with this beautiful city of ours, which should be a beacon of hope? A lot of people from across the world come and work here, and we have the best of the office spaces here. This should really push our economic engine. But outside this beautiful houses and this thing, you find garbage dumps and stagnant water. Abhi dengue, there'll be a epidemic of dengue here in Gurgaon. Every year you have, most cases are reported from here because of water stagnant. We can't even clean the water. It'll remain now unless the vehicles go over and by simple, by sun, the water evaporates.
But General, for many, part of the reason we wanted to start with you was because you are what citizens can do about this, which is why it's so special. But let's talk about solutions now, and whether you've seen some of them be implemented around you, because people say solutions will be put, but how many are actually there on the ground? Are there smart technologies? Are there sensors being used to monitor drainage systems that you observe? Have authorities succeeded to some level at least, handle solid waste management, for example?
This is the sad part, is we are not using machines, we are not using technology. वही पुराने pump they put under passes पे पहले तैयार कर देते हैं यार यहाँ पे होगा. And there's no way to see whether last year was this year is better than last year. And there is no use of technology. Otherwise we could use drones to immediately see. We should have very good machines which can clean this drains. There are machines, I'm telling you, which can लोहे को भी बाहर निकाल सकते हैं. they can take out mud, they can take out stones, but वो एक आधी कोई होगी वो कहीं पर VIP area ड्यूटी पे होगी या खराब होगी. Then what about sweeping of the streets and the roads, with just dust is and this all this debris is on the roads? That is not there. So I think we need, while people need to participate, we need to, from bottoms up approach, we need to get the RWAs on board, we need to get the people who live in villages, them on board, and interagency, there is GMDA, there is Huda, there is MCG, there are many other agencies, electricity department will dig and they'll realize they have burst a water pipe. Water ki badi crisis hai. There are water tankers will start moving after some time. There's so much water the flow of water is so low that it doesn't reach second or third floor overhead tanks. So people are now digging underground water tanks of 10,000 liters. Everybody is scared, insecure. So ab kya karoge? So somewhere the problem lies in, again I said, divide and conquer, decide on areas. If you can't do entire Gurgaon, have a 5-year plan, and tell the public, take in confidence, bear with us, we will do these areas, more interagency coordination, and let's use corporate help of corporate. Certain patches of land where garbage is being thrown can be given on lease to corporate.
General, more here's to hoping better sense prevails, and those are some of the visuals, in fact, the General put up while cycling through some of these posh areas in Gurugram. So it's really high time that agencies wake up and smell the coffee. Thank you, General. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us this morning. We also have with us Utsav Pradhan. He is the co-founder of Tiddy in Darjeeling. He's turning dumping grounds into thriving zero-waste ecosystems, composting, reforesting, working with schools, building community partnerships that are keeping the hills clean without waiting on the government. If the mountains can do it, why can't our cities? And on that note, Utsav, very good morning. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for taking out the time. Before we ask you how you've done what you've done, how you've gone about this initiative of zero waste in multiple villages. It's gone past one village, the whole concept of eco-resort. Tell us a little bit about what can be done. How difficult is it to replicate what you've done in Darjeeling, for instance, in a Gurugram? As General Yash also pointed out, it's not just a government problem, it's not just one agency, it needs to be a collective effort.
Hello, good morning, and glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I believe that, it's a system that is intertwined both politically as well as socially. And it is something that is interestingly, when we look at the problem, as complex as it seems, the solutions are embarrassingly simple, and what we've done here in the mountains can easily be replicated in the cities too. And it has been done. There are great examples that's there happening in pockets, in silos, whether it's Gurugram or Bangalore or Kolkata or Delhi, right? So I think when you look at the problem and break it down and see how do we approach it, then you realize that it is something that can be done by taking on board the citizens. It's not just the government's problem to solve. Like the General had said, there is a lot of initiative that can be done from the citizen side. So what we have done here is that we have involved the community to move towards a zero waste village. So we call that a bottom-up grassroots movement. And we have met that with the top-down policy interventions that we are working here with the local government. And to support that, we have worked with the corporates through CSR projects. So if you look at that, we call this a tripod model. So just like the 3 legs of the tripod that holds a camera together, this is a model that can be plugged and played anywhere.
Love that, because you're talking about, and I mean, you called it a tripod, so it's very literal, but you talked about 3 things. I want to ask you more about the first, which is the behavioral change that is required for individuals to make this kind of change happen. We talk about these issues, and there is individual element, and there is, of course, societal change that is also required. But if we just ask you more about the individual element, how did you inspire that behavioral change? Did it take years for it to actually take place? Walk us through that process.
Yes, it's to tag it, I would call it a psychosocial problem. Yeah. And so it starts off with an audit. Okay, we've approached it in a permaculture way. So it's a design issue. So you'll have to look at how do you do a social design. When we're looking at solving the waste problem, we are talking about it as only as a material or a technical problem to solve. But like we've been discussing, it's a social design problem. So to approach that, first, it would be an audit as to what are the positive as well as the negative triggers. Particular area that we are going to work in has to be done so that we understand the triggers. And I believe that we as humans and citizens of India, we are good people. Everyone wants to do good. Everyone wants to be associated with a good cause. So how do we bring about a good cause that people take that initiative from within? And these are issues that you cannot take a moral high ground, is what I've realized. So you'll have to create a platform where people take the first step themselves, and then you make it as such that they hold hands and say, hey, this is our zero waste village, or this is our zero waste community. So then it becomes a marketing problem. How do you market it to other people so that it gets coverage, right? It gets covered in the news. And also there is this aspect of how do you then involve the local government, and how do you make policy changes? So it is a step-by-step gradual process, and it, yes, starts off with perhaps one individual, but then once you start doing the work, you will have to then use also the power of social media. There is a lot of talk about social media making us redundant in terms of having conversations, gathering people together, but this is one of the greatest benefits of social media that you can use, where you reach out to people, showcase the work, and call people for volunteers. One of the interesting aspects that we have here is we are drowned with waste because we've opened up probably the only functional materials recovery facility in Darjeeling, and we do a shout out for volunteers. We have people coming in from Gurgaon, coming in from Delhi, Calcutta, in Darjeeling to volunteer to segregate waste with us.
Wow, okay.
So, and for me also, it was fascinating to see how much the impact of social media can be. And it is just a few videos that we put out with people having fun doing probably one of the most toughest jobs, that is segregating waste. Right?
You also have this whole system. You've created an ecosystem literally wherein tourists who are also coming to visit, that area, who are staying with you, are engaged in the activities that you believe in so firmly and that you're practicing for the longest time. So kudos to you, really. But Utsav, let's go back to the entire phase of Turtle walking through this. Every time we look at these change makers, we get a lot of feedback on. It sounds great, it sounds lovely that the kind of change that you all are making, but isn't it really difficult to take that first step? So what does it really take to take that first step when you're all by yourself, you've literally junked your 9-to-5 high-paying job and you're going back to your ancestral land where you're seeing literally everything turn into a dumping ground? Take us through the initial steps.
I think for me it was a personal journey where I wanted to. I've lived in the cities for almost 18 years before I moved back, and here I wanted to explore living in a natural dwelling. Like you see, this is a mud house, and also explore the idea of creating forests. And I did not really plan on working on waste, but when I came here and I realized the land had become a dump yard, and we've started clearing the waste, and the whole growth happened organically. But I think the first step that we took out was just simply to go and trust in the goodness of people and reach out and say, hey, I'm doing this, would you like to join? So I think it starts with the basic trust in humanity to do good, to be good, and collectively come together. Because sometimes we doubt too much, saying that if I go and pick up that trash, would people join me? There could be 100 people that's there on the street, 98 might not join you, but 2 might join you, but it creates a ripple effect. Okay, so trust that ripple effect to be able to let this movement grow. So this movement that we started as a zero waste movement here in TD has grown now into a zero waste Andolan, and the impact now is multifold, where we have projects ongoing in Darjeeling, Sikkim. We would be starting up a project now in Telangana, in the district of Nalgonda also, utilizing the same
Wow.
design aspect of a decentralized holistic waste management by involving the community.
Wonderful. And we were actually going to ask you, how are you expanding? Where are you expanding to? You've already touched on that now. Let me ask you one last question, Utsav. This is a question we sometimes ponder on the show. When will India look like a number of other countries that Indians sometimes visit? The easy comparison, for example, is a Singapore, hygienic spaces where there is that high sense of citizen responsibility. Now, what you're saying is that in Darjeeling, you've already seen that change take place, both through all of your efforts, but also just from citizens who are traveling in from across the country. So then answer that question for us. When will we see this change take place? What's missing right now?
Yeah, so a couple of corrections here. I wouldn't say the entire Darjeeling. Yes, we have been working, but I mean, honestly, there is still a lot of work that still needs to be done here. And also, a point that like to make here, which is very, very important for all of us to know, is that when we look at the countries, so-called first world nations, we'll have to realize that, they might look clean, but here cleanliness is not the goal. And for us also, just cleanliness should not be the goal, because that is still, it's still doable, it's just sweeping waste from one place. But in case of the first world nations also, what they have done is they've swept the floor and they've dumped it to countries in the global south. So China banned that, taking waste, importing waste in 2018. I think India banned it in 2019, but now they are dumping it in other nations in the global south. So in case of India, I think we as a nation should aspire more. It should be beyond cleanliness. So I think we can take this orbital leap that we can say, where we say, let's holistically manage waste. Let's not take waste and let cleanliness not just be the goal. Let's see how we can create a circular economy. Let's relook at the whole material science itself. Let's see whether we can package things better. Because if you see, the majority of the waste that we do, and we do massive waste audits. There is a Himalayan cleanup that happens every year, and that's done by Zero Waste Himalaya, and we publish audit reports every year. And we have been saying that, one of the biggest issues is the single-use plastic. And in an ecologically fragile system, the Himalayas, we cannot be having the same policies that's there like in the rest of India, right? So, because whatever happens here in the roof of India will kind of affect the rest of India too. And that's the reason why we are saying flooding happening. We are seeing a very new hazards called GLOF. I'm not sure even people would be aware about the term. It's called glacial lake overflow floods. That's been happening very, very regularly. Our glaciers are melting. Our Kanchenjunga is melting. So we need to have specific policies for a region. And for India, I think the goal should be that how do we take this orbital jump to go beyond cleanliness? And, I think we have hit the golden buzzer last year when during the Rising Bharat also we presented it as a white paper to the Prime Minister's office. So this is about involving the youth, right? And let's tap into the demographic dividend that we have. And this is the college students. So that's why we started this climate action leadership program, where we demonstrated with a pilot where we took on 10 students, and they managed to convert 100 homes zero waste, and also the college campus zero waste. Now, if this is taken up and integrated into the NEP, which is what our Honorable Prime Minister's goal is, to make education also more skill-based and more experiential, the waste problem, trust me, can be solved in 5 years. It would not more than that.
So it's one house at a time, one college campus at a time, one society at a time. like in your case, one village at a time. You've at least expanded to 3 villages with the Zero Waste initiative. So congratulations on that, Utsav. And here's to hoping that we don't withdraw from the golden buzzer. Thank you. Thank you for taking out the time this morning. Let's also now briefly go across to the next voice with us on the broadcast. This is Dr. Shri Harsha Kota, Associate Professor, Civil Engineering, IIT Delhi. He's an expert in air pollution and atmospheric modeling. He joins us to talk about what the choking air in our cities is doing to our lungs and what really can be done about the overall aspect of how this is affecting our environment and urban infrastructure for that matter.
Yeah, so let's just go over to Dr. Kota to understand more. Dr. Kota, every year we hear all of these, frankly, very negative stories about air pollution, obviously, in each of our cities. So we thought let's start today a little differently. Tell us about positive examples of change, because you have actually overlooked multiple different government committees across the country. You have seen change take place. Are there local examples where you've managed successfully to reduce air pollution?
Good morning. I think it's always good to start something positive, especially in the morning. So air pollution is not a lost cause. There are many success stories. One example which actually reminds me always or encourages me always is the Golden Temple which we have in Amritsar. Right? If you happen to go to Golden Temple now, if you happen to visit Amritsar, there are many days where the air smells diesel. But on the same day you walk across Golden Temple, it will be far better. What they have done is very simple. There are many local activities that they have done. They constructed a huge parking lot, made sure that all the visitors walk to the temple after the parking lot, right? Or they take an EV vehicle to reach the temple, right? They made sure that all small smelting units which were around the temple are no longer there. These are some small activities which actually helped, is a success story which encourages people like us, to tell, okay, not everything is lost. There is things to look forward to. In fact, something which we all have seen is COVID-19 lockdown. Even though the purpose of control was something else, but most of us enjoyed clearer skies during that lockdown period, right? So that shows that reduction in emissions will result in better air quality. So there are many success stories. We should not lose heart.
Dr. Harsha, if you allow, I'm going to digress a little bit in continuation to what we were discussing for the last couple of minutes. Yes, you spoke of electric, low emission vehicles, less construction activities, all of those things contributing to the air pollution situation, especially in a place like Delhi NCR. But how does urban planning play a very crucial role in this? For instance, inclusion of more green spaces. Since we were talking about urban infrastructure, tell us what can be done on that front.
See, more and more green space would help in clearing air easily, because trees themselves would act like filters, right? So they remove particles in the air. So increasing the green space will actually help. So for this, our town planners have to change, right? The way we look at planning of a city, especially a city like Delhi, has to change. For example, I'll give you a simple example.
Which is very difficult to do now because
you have developed to such a degree.
Completely developed. Gurugram, for instance, there's barely any space to create these kind of green spaces.
No, but I'll give you an example. Let's say a community is coming up. Okay, let me talk about an educational institution, right? So if the education institution has a mandate of telling most of the students, which almost 80% of the population are, should not use motorized vehicles. Do we need to have dedicated motorized vehicle parking spots for those education institutions? Maybe not. But right now, look at our parking policy and how the town planners look at it. They mandate you to construct parking lot for them as well, which are not being used. So this is a green space lost. Right? There are small things that we can still use, and we should understand that all LE NCR, most of the place, there is no green field anymore where new buildings will come up. It has to be existing buildings which have to be bought down, and we have to construct better buildings, better planned buildings, considering the environment. Environment should come first, of course. We need to live in a building, but we can have sustainable buildings now.
And Doctor, if it's possible, I'm going to ask you quite quite a strange question, I guess, but a lot of people, every time pollution comes around in November, say we need to leave Delhi. We need to take our families, we need to leave Delhi permanently. You continue to live here, I'm sure, with your family, and you're surrounded by other professors who are also studying air pollution every single day, not choosing to move. Is it because you believe that with the right measures in the next few years, things can still change?
Yes, I strongly believe most of us have very, very young kids, right? It is hard during those months, but it's not everything is lost, right? So a proper air quality management plan is what we need, and which has to be implemented with complete diligence. If this happens, things will work. Let me give you a couple of examples. So during November, when there is significant, pollution happening, right? Can we come up with measures which tell if people can work from home, let them work from home? Right? Can schools go online always? Do we need to wait for certain graph to be implemented to decide whether, this kids should not go to school? These are some activities if we can curb. It is completely a management issue. Then probably this air quality will not be as bad, right? So I am super duper positive. I hope in my lifetime we have clearer airs in Delhi. The way I see what is happening in US, how the other countries have changed in terms of better air quality, I strongly believe it will happen in Delhi, and we should not lose heart.
Dr. Harsha, quickly before we let you go, last 1 minute left with us, if you could just rate, given priority wise, what are the things that need to be done or ensured in a place like Delhi, which is grappling with air pollution year in and out? For instance, first could be low emission cars or less construction activity. So just rate it for us point by point. What is the number one priority? And then we can go to the next point.
So my number one priority would be better roads. That cleaner fuel, there's been so much emphasis on cleaner fuels, EV vehicles, but the number one priority should be better roads. Then to completely make sure that the waste burning will become zero, right? Especially when it is colder, people burn any biomass to sustain. So there should be a solution to it. The citizens have to step up and make sure that the neighbors who are not well-to-do are also safe in harsh weather, right? So no waste burning, better roads, better fuel vehicles, and make sure that all the industries in and around Delhi are using cleaner fuels. So these would be my 4th step mantra, if you would like to ask.
Wonderful. Doctor, thank you for joining us this morning. We have loved having you on. It is rare to hear such a positive voice when it comes to this challenge that our urban cities face. So thank you for joining us. All right, with that, we are heading into a quick break. After the break, we should focus entirely, but we hope you found this overview of our country, our urban cities issues helpful, and it gave you a direction in where the change needs to happen. After the break, what are we looking at?
After the break, joining us on the Breakfast Club is a young skater making the entire country proud. Janvi Jindal will be showing us some of those skills that you see on your screens, performing bhangra, doing yoga, all on her skates. We'll also talk about her world records in just a bit. Stay tuned.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And the latest on the story, CNN News 18 has accessed the FIR registered by the police against the army officer. Officer booked for voluntarily causing hurt, wrongful restraint, criminal intimidation and assaulting or using criminal force. Complaint by SpiceJet says officer engaged in an unprovoked and violent assault against multiple civilian employees of SpiceJet Airlines, unquote. So the police there is also moving. Ishan Vani with me on the broadcast. So Ishan, is the Indian Army giving its own version? Are they supporting this officer? Are they coming up with their own explanation of what really happened? Or are they cooperating with the police?
Well, they are cooperating with the police, and they are saying that their story version will be based on the entire action taken by the police and other forces, but they are also looking into the matter. What they have told us is that the army officer, the case has been basically highlighted to them, and they are in a process of basically complying fully with maintaining discipline and mutual respect in all civil spaces across the country. The issue has come to the notice of the senior officers of the Indian Army, and they are preparing to further take action against the officer. And what we know is that they are waiting for the investigation to be completed. There could be an internal investigation by the army, and there will be an investigation run separately by the police, because police have been handing over the case and they have been asked to investigate it thoroughly.
Right.
Now we have also accessed the FIR, which clearly mentions on behalf of the SpiceJet that there was an assault, there was an attempt to basically hurt the staff members. And
Ishan, very quickly, where is the officer? Did he manage to take that flight that day? Is he in Delhi? Is he still in Srinagar?
yes, he managed to fly that day. There was no disruption in the flight. The flight went smoothly, and he has been able to go to his home. But he's deployed at the High Altitude Warfare School of the Indian Army, which is called HOS in Gulmarg, where high altitude training is given. And now the officer will be called in for his version of the story, because right now we have the version of the SpiceJet coming in. The officers and the CCTV that we are seeing clearly shows that there has been assault on the civilians, particularly the employees, and now the police and other forces will also carry out their own investigation. The army will have a parallel investigation running to ensure that if he has done something wrongful, criminal, then they will basically adhere to the protocols that they have made.
Okay, so I mean, now that the police has started its probe and the FIR has been taken cognizance of, how soon is the officer expected to join investigation?
To the police, as soon as they shoot a letter to the Indian Army asking them to basically produce the officer before them. So the fifth version of the story also comes out because he will have a story to share. So police will have to record his statement as well and then present facts. So because the security officer of the SpiceJet posted in Srinagar has basically gone to the police with the FIR. He has mentioned that there has been an assault, there has been an intimidation of the staff that was done by the officer. So further, the police will now basically call him in and ask him questions that what really transpired at that moment.
Ishan, if you do hold on, I mean, you've also accessed for us visuals from that particular day. We're just playing them out for our viewers. What we can see is some kind of an altercation where a SpiceJet staffer wearing a white shirt, I think, is suddenly kicked in the face. Then there are CRPF personnel, if I am not mistaken, and paramilitary personnel who are trying to come in between the army officer and the SpiceJet personnel. Thanks for staying on. There's the latest update coming in as far as the Srinagar airport altercation story is concerned. An Indian Army officer is in the dock for allegedly assaulting SpiceJet personnel on 26th of July. Now, the Indian Army has reacted. It has issued a statement on the assault. The Army has said, and I quote, "The matter involving an alleged altercation between an Army personnel and airline staff at Srinagar Airport on 26th of July has come to the notice of the Indian Army. The Indian Army is committed to uphold highest standards of discipline and conduct and takes all allegations seriously. Full cooperation is being extended to the authorities investigating the case," unquote. Akash Sharma, my defense correspondent, with me on the phone line. Akash, they have issued a statement offering cooperation to the police. But where is the officer concerned? He was supposed to travel on the SpiceJet flight from Srinagar to Delhi. So is he still in Delhi? Has he given any explanation to his...
Welcome back. Our person of interest this Monday morning is the 17-year-old Janvi Jindal. She's our person of interest and she didn't even have a coach. She didn't have a rink. What she did have was discipline, obsession and a pair of skates. She's a freestyle skater from Chandigarh and she's just become the youngest Indian girl to hold 5 Guinness World Records, all in the demanding high-speed discipline of inline skating. She's built the skills on footpaths with YouTube tutorials as her only guide.
Her talent ranges from mastering yoga poses on wheels, also blending a little bit of bhangra with the blades. A lot more that she's shown us is why she has these 5 world records with her. Janvi is also now the second person from Chandigarh after cricketer Yuvraj Singh to enter the Guinness Book. But she's done it without a playbook, without a team, without any shortcuts. Let's not forget, without any coach. She's now become a symbol of what India's youth can truly do. So going across to Janvi for really understanding what this journey's been like. Hi Janvi, hope you're doing well. Congratulations. You're the first young Indian woman to have 5 Guinness World Records to her name in freestyle skating. When did you achieve your first record? How does it feel? Tell us more.
For Guinness, I had 2 India book records, and just कहीं पे लगा कि यार इंडिया से थोड़ा ऊपर जाते हैं, गिनीज पे ट्राई करते हैं, वर्ल्ड लेवल पे ट्राई करते हैं. I went for Guinness. I think it was in January, जहाँ पे मेरे को मेल आई कि yes, you're officially racing and you have made the Guinness World Record. अच्छा लग रहा था and बहुत एक लोगों की अच्छी जो फीलिंग होती है ना वो आई थी. क्यों? एक गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड साल लगा देता है, पूरी मेहनत, प्रोसीजर, फाइनलाइजेशन एंड एंड में एक अप्रूवल की मेल. तो कहीं ना कहीं यस, ये जो एक सिंगल मेल थी वो काफी ज्यादा मेरी लाइफ पे इम्पैक्ट डालती थी.
Janvi, you've broken records like 42 one-wheel spins in 30 seconds, 72 spins in 1 minute. That means 1 spin in less than a second, which if you just listen to it, that sounds very, very difficult.
Well, okay, first of all, it took so much practice because 30 seconds was, I would say, easier when compared to 1 minute. But जब आई 1 minute की बात तो it took me 2 months to just practice. क्यों? क्योंकि जब भी मैं प्रैक्टिस करती थी I would have been on 2 wheels, मतलब कि अगर 8 wheels है स्केट्स के तो उसमें सिर्फ फर्स्ट का जो फ्रंट व्हील होता है उस पर खड़े के बैलेंस करके स्पिन करना 1 मिनट तक लगातार बिना चक्कर खाए, बिना गिरे, प्रॉपर स्पिन्स होने चाहिए, कहीं पे भी कुछ फंबलिंग नहीं हो सकती. तो इन सबको देखने में, इन सबका वीडियो बनाने में, अटेम्प्ट बार बार प्रैक्टिस करने में एंड जब तक फाइनल अटेम्प्ट किया तो से ये दोनों बहुत मुश्किल थे. एंड आप खुद सोच सकते हो 30 सेकंड में 42 मीन्स 1 सेकंड में आप 1 से ज़्यादा स्पिन कर रहे हो, 1 मिनट में 72, अगेन 1 मिनट में 1 सेकंड में आप 1 से ज़्यादा स्पिन कर रहे हो. सो डेफिनेटली दोनों रिकॉर्ड्स मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल थे, बट yes, thankfully मेरे दोनों अच्छे हुए थे और पहले अटेम्प्ट में क्लियर भी हुए थे.
And look at the way in which you're doing those spins on the wheels. It's just absolutely mesmerizing to watch, Janvi. ये सब बिना किसी कोच के, without any professional coaching. How did that happen?
Yes, I never had any professional coaching. Well, मेरी skating journey started हुई थी 2018 I would say. And नॉर्मल स्केटिंग शुरू करी थी, बट स्पीड और हॉकी नहीं खेलना था. सो पापा सर्च की यार और कौन सी स्केटिंग होती है. देन ही फाउंड फ्री स्टाइल स्केटिंग. दिखने में अच्छा लग रहा था, मेरा मन भी कर रहा था. प्रॉब्लम आई, देयर वाज नो कोच. पूरे नॉर्दर्न रीजन में इसका कोई कोच नहीं था. इवन इन टुडेज टाइम आपको फ्री स्टाइल स्केटिंग का कोई कोच नहीं मिलेगा चंडीगढ़ में. तो यस, दिस वाज a major drawback, but thankfully मेरे फादर ने इसको ओवरकम किया. He himself doesn't know how to skate. वो स्केट पे खड़े भी नहीं हो सकते. Still उन्होंने मुझे YouTube से, सोशल मीडिया से वीडियोस देखते थे दीदी और मुझे समझाते थे कि ऐसे ऐसे कराना है इसको. दीदी would just spend her evenings and nights मेरे पे कि हाँ इस तरह नहीं, इस तरह कर, इस तरह नहीं, इस तरह कर. सबसे हाँ, अगर फैमिली ना होती या फैमिली उसमें सपोर्टिव ना होती तो I would not have done it.
Listen, your videos are giving me at least a full heart attack right now. You're talking and I'm like, she's going to fall. Thank God she hasn't fallen. So just really kudos. But tell us, since you first began to now, how much time are you taking out to practice? We just played some visuals, but how much time is that in a day?
So I told you my journey started in 2018.
Yeah.
जब मैं 9-10 साल की थी. प्रैक्टिस दिन के मैं 4-5 घंटे करती थी. एंड सिर्फ नॉर्मल प्रैक्टिस नहीं, ऐसी प्रैक्टिस जहाँ पे मैं दिन में 50 बार गिर रही हूँ. गिरती थी, फिर खड़ी होती थी, फिर करती थी, फिर गिरती थी, फिर खड़ी होती थी. That type of practice. So over the years I realized कि सिर्फ स्केटिंग नहीं, स्केटिंग के साथ साथ बॉडी को उतना स्टैमिना, उतनी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी भी चाहिए. So later on started doing gym, strength exercises, flexibility. So I did everything other than skating as well. आज की बात करें तो I do 2-3 hours of skating, but उसके साथ साथ जिम भी जाती हूँ, योगा भी करती हूँ, जॉगिंग भी करती हूँ. Over the years I would say it has been 7-8 years. Long years, but everything paid off.
Janvi, you just didn't stop at freestyle skating. You just didn't stop at what was asked of you. You've been going beyond one form. You know, you've been going to the other, then the next. So there's bhangra, there's yoga. You've been performing yoga on the skates with your one leg up. Can you? We'll pull out those visuals as well. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
That one. Well, I do yoga on skates. So I also do bhangra on skates. योगा में I felt कि यार जब मैं flexibility कर रही हूँ तो skates पे क्यों ना करूँ. So I started doing. I remember I started doing every yoga move that I knew on skates. मैं ट्राई करती, अरे मैंने ये सीखी आज, मेरे को आज skates पे करना है. बैलेंस बनाना yes difficult था क्योंकि all the yoga poses need very much flexibility और उसके बाद उसको बैलेंस करना ऐसे जहाँ पे आपके टायर्स मूव कर रहे हैं. मुश्किल था, बट यस उतना ही मजा आता था यार करने में. सो दैट वन मूव इज माय फेवरेट मूव जब मैं योगा ऑन स्केट्स की बात करूँ.
You talked of bhangra also. उसके बारे में भी, can you show us a little bit of bhangra? I know that dancing on skates you've done while your friends are dancing normally. You're doing it on skates. We'll play out those visuals also. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, bhangra on skates. Well, चंडीगढ़ में रहती हूँ. चंडीगढ़ यूनियन टेरिटरी ऑफ पंजाब एंड हरियाणा. पंजाब भांगड़ा सारा लोक नाच. I used to do bhangra when I was a kid, and I thought कि यार bhangra तो मैं डाल रही हूँ, अब इसको skates पे भी डालती हूँ. I never knew कि हाँ जो bhangra on skates है वो कोई करता नहीं है. It was the point जब मैंने YouTube पे सर्च किया कि मुझे एक स्टेप नहीं आ रहा. So I searched that step bhangra on skates. Nothing. That was the time that I realized कि bhangra on skates कोई करता नहीं है. And that was also the point जब मैंने social media पे डालना शुरू करा कि yes I do bhangra on skates. And finally even the India Book of World Records, India Records recognized कि you have introduced bhangra on skates in the world.
You know, they say that you can't take out bhangra out of a Punjabi. I think Janvi is an example of that. Janvi, you know, we'll also ask some of our viewers to look you up on social media and actually see those visuals where you're the only one on stage doing bhangra with a group of people and most of them boys, and she's totally beating them at it. But Janvi, would you then say dance was your first love or was it the other way around?
I'd say अगर मैं adventurous और dance में ना होती तो मैं skating भी ना करती, because both of the things I just try and merge it onto the skating. Okay, I'll tell you an incident. I was 5 or 6 when we went on a trip जहाँ पे हम 6 families थे, around 30 to 40 people, and हमें एक task मिला that we had to jump from a 30 feet height. 30 feet building की 3rd floor, I would say. वहाँ से jump करना था river में, and मुझे swimming नहीं आती थी. Still I did the jump. अच्छा लगा. फिर से गए, फिर से जंप किया, फिर से गए और फिर से जंप किया. So I did the jump 3 times. Only person from the whole group to do that. तो मैं बहुत adventurous थी, मुझे हर कुछ करना था. I was that हवा हुआ वाला kid, wanted to do every single thing. So yes, if I was not that type of kid, if I didn't like dance or bhangra, might be I would do the same speed skating or hockey skating that everybody does.
Okay, now we have to talk about something I've wanted to ask you from the beginning. dancing, yoga, gliding. These are all very difficult kinds of skating that you're doing. Injuries ki kahani nahi hai. What's your story there? Have you gotten injured in the past before? Seriously?
Well, बहुत चोटें लगी हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा चोटें लगी हैं. I still remember जब मैं skating सीख रही थी, I used to fall 50 times a day. And गिरना is not the important part. गिर के खड़ा होना is the important part. Because I see so many children who just fall and don't start skating again. I think जो बच्चा गिर के खड़े होके फिर से कुछ कर सकता है, that is the kid who can do anything. And मैं बहुत गिरी हूँ, मेरे पता यहाँ पे भी इंजरीज हैं, यहाँ पे भी इंजरीज हैं, ओल्ड मार्क्स हैं, स्कार्स हैं, बट स्टिल मुझे करना अच्छा लगता है. इवन टुडे आई फेल, इवन टुडे आज भी मैं कुछ नया सीखती हूँ तो गिरती हूँ मैं. Worst fall was from the 15 stairs. I was practicing rolling down on stairs and मेरा कहीं पैर हल्का सा खराब हुआ and I just fell from 15 stairs. ये पूरी राइट साइड दर्द होने लग गई. External injury थी, but हाँ internally बहुत. I would say that was the worst fall I have had.
Yeah, I mean, just sounds painful. The sound of it is scary, Janvi. You spoke of the Indian Book of Records right at the beginning of this conversation. Let's talk a little bit about the top 3 titles there. Youngest to perform Bhangra, you've given us a story there. Gliding downstairs, you've given us a story there. Max wheelies at Khardungla. Tell us a little bit about this. What kind of skating did you start with first?
Well, जब मैं skating शुरू करी, I did freestyle, roller freestyle, which is basically मैं jumps करती थी, ramps करती थी, and ये सब कुछ करती थी. I became national champion for 2 years. Then I thought कि यार कुछ और भी करना है. तब I started doing dance on skates. That was the point where I started Bhangra on skates as well. I think 2020 was the time. और उसी टाइम पे 2021 में मेरा ये इंडिया बुक रिकॉर्ड्स आ गया था, बुक ऑफ रिकॉर्ड्स, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा था कि I'm the youngest one to do Bhangra on skates, also to roll down on stairs. Both came in the same year. Then I did yoga on skates. I also became the youngest state awardee, Municipal Corporation awardee, side by side winning national medals every single year. उसके बाद उसके बाद खारदुंगला पास वाला अटेम्प्ट, दैट वाज वन अटेम्प्ट जो बहुत बहुत मुश्किल था मेरे लिए. व्हाई? क्योंकि खारदुंगला पे आपको अगर एल्टीट्यूड अमृतसर की पता होगा, बट जो खारदुंगला का एल्टीट्यूड होता है वो इतना ज़्यादा होता है कि यू स्टार्ट हैविंग डिफिकल्टी ब्रीदिंग. आपको वहाँ चलना और या फिर मैं कहूँ भागना है सच ए टास्क जब कर नहीं सकते हो.
Tell us, आपका long-term dream. What is your long-term dream? You were earlier talking कि freestyle coach आपको मिल नहीं रहा था at all. Maybe the first in your city, maybe much more. Tell us.
Definitely, I want to achieve more records, more Guinness, more India Book of Records, and have more achievements under my name. But सबसे ज़्यादा I want to motivate other kids. Because मैं एक skater से motivate हुई थी. She was a Russian skater, Sofia, 6-time running world champion. उनसे मैंने inspiration ली थी. I really liked her dance, how she fluently did every single move, and that was the point I just got inspired कि मुझे भी ये करना है. Anyhow, I want to be that inspiration for other kids. And if I can achieve that, I think that would be my biggest achievement of all times.
How wonderful. It is inspiring and for us also just to watch your show, just to watch you get on those skates.
And
Thank
do
you
it
for
with such
joining us.
ease and brilliance. Thank you, Janvi.
All right, and with that, we are drawing our show, our Monday edition of the Breakfast Club, to a close. Our whole week is jam-packed with lots of different ideas, speakers, shows that are taking place across the country that you should watch. But send us your thoughts. Send us your thoughts on CNN News 18 about what you want to see us cover.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Welcome back. You're watching CNN News 18 Makes Sense. I'm Ayush Singh. We come back with a piece of breaking news. We're getting in some news from Karnataka, where the Karnataka minister has triggered fresh controversy. Karnataka Minister H.C. Mahadevappa has claimed that Tipu Sultan laid the foundation for KRS Dam, and his statement has sparked fresh political backlash. Historians refute the statement, citing official records crediting Nalwadi Krishnaraj Wadiyar for the dam's construction in the early 19s. Now, the remark follows recent political comparisons to the Wadiyar legacy, stirring fresh debate in the state. That's the latest piece of development we are tracking for you this morning from Karnataka. Let's listen into some reactions first.
ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಂಬಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಡಿಗಲ್ಲು ಹಾಕಿರೋದೇ ಟಿಪ್ಪು ಸುಲ್ತಾನ್ ಅವರು ಕನ್ನಂಬಾಡಿ ಕಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ. ಏನು ಗುರುಗಳೇ ನೋಡಿದಿರ ನೀವು ಕುಮಾರು ನೋಡಿದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಕೋರು ಧೈರ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅಂಬೇಡ್ಕರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ವೋ ಅವರು ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಕಡೆ ಟಿಪ್ಪು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಸೀದಿ ಇತ್ತು, ಆ ಕಡೆ ಶ್ರೀರಂಗಪಟ್ಟಣ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಕಡೆ ಅಲ್ಲವೋ ಅಕ್ಬರ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಗಂಟೆನೂ ಹೊಡಿತದೆ. ಎರಡೂ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅವರು, ಎರಡೂ ಸಮಚಿತ್ತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನು, ದೇವದಾಸಿ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯನ್ನು ರದ್ದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ದೇವದಾಸಿ ಪದ್ಧತಿಗೆ ದೂಕೋದು ಯಾರನ್ನ? ಯಾವ ಶೋಷಿತ ಸಮುದಾಯದ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ, ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ, ಔದ್ಯೋಗಿಕ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಂಚಿತರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬದುಕಿಗೆ ಒದ್ದಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲೇ ಟಿಪ್ಪು ಸುಲ್ತಾನ್ ರದ್ದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ದೇವದಾಸಿ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯನ್ನು.
ऐसी बात नहीं है कि किसी में करेज नहीं है. बिल्कुल हम ये हिस्ट्री से वाकिफ़ हैं, और जो हिस्ट्री से वाकिफ़ हैं वो बिल्कुल करेज रखते हैं कि ये बोल सकें. और बिल्कुल टीपू सुल्तान ने, जब जहाँ तक तारीख़ हमने पढ़ी है, कि अब जो KRS डैम आज की दौर में है, जब पहले उसका नाम कनम्बड़ी डैम हुआ करता, जो कृष्णा नदी के अतराफ बनाया गया था, उसका फाउंडेशन स्टोन जो है शेर मैसूर टीपू सुल्तान ने रखा था. पर न जाने कुछ वजूहात की वजह से वहाँ पे ये भी हिस्ट्री बताती है कि उनके दौर में तामीर नहीं हुआ, जिसको बाद में 1910, 1908 में कुछ मैसूर राजा ने बाद में तामीर करवाया. और ये बात महादेवप्पा साहब की बिल्कुल सही है कि इसकी जो संग बुनियाद है शेर मैसूर टीपू सुल्तान ने रखी थी. तो इकोनॉमिकली मैसूर वॉज अ वेरी गुड स्टेट इन द हैंड्स ऑफ टीपू सुल्तान, एंड ही वॉज अ गुड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, जिसकी हम तायीद करते हैं. और जब वक्त पड़े तो हम बोलने के लिए बिल्कुल करज भी रखते हैं और सामने आकर भी बोल देते हैं.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Welcome back. You're watching CNN News 18 Makes Sense. I'm Ayush Singh. We come back with a piece of breaking news. We're getting in some news from Karnataka, where the Karnataka minister has triggered fresh controversy. Karnataka Minister H.C. Mahadevappa has claimed that Tipu Sultan laid the foundation for KRS Dam, and his
So you've seen the big arc lights here, the flashy cameras, but beyond all of this, journalism is all about hard work. So if you have it in you to make a name for yourself in this hyper-competitive industry, then let CNN News 18 be your platform.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Welcome back. You're watching CNN News 18 Makes Sense. I'm Ayush Singh. We come back with a piece of breaking news. We're getting in some news from Karnataka, where the Karnataka minister has triggered fresh controversy. Karnataka Minister H.C. Mahadevappa has claimed that Tipu Sultan laid the foundation for KRS Dam, and his statement has sparked fresh political backlash. Historians refute the statement, citing official records crediting Nalwadi Krishna Raj Wadiyar for the dam's construction in the early 19s. Now, the remark follows recent political comparisons to the Wadiyar legacy, stirring fresh debate in the state. That's the latest piece of development we are tracking for you this morning from Karnataka. Let's listen into some reactions first.
ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಂಬಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಡಿಗಲ್ಲು ಹಾಕಿರೋದೇ ಟಿಪ್ಪು ಸುಲ್ತಾನ್ ಅವರು ಕನ್ನಂಬಾಡಿ ಕಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ. ಏನು ಗುರುಗಳೇ ನೋಡಿದಿರ ನೀವು ಕುಮಾರು ನೋಡಿದಿರಲ್ಲ?